Slayer. Today we are reacting to Llama Arts animations because I didn't these bad ideas. So I know Llama Arts is a horror style game, a horror story one, but this video we're gonna react to is terrifying jaw horror story animation, but is a because she I don't know, and Lawrence is the one who is a good one, so let's watch it. A terrifying morning jog. The story of a representative of a woman.
Before heading to my local community college for classes...
Wait, I gotta turn this up. Because
I'd like to wake up at around 5 in the morning for a brisk morning jog.
Okay.
It helps clear my head and definitely helps wake me up so I can focus in class. When I first started doing this, it was a huge hassle. But over time, I grew accustomed to it, and it's now a highlight of my day. However, as time went on, I found myself becoming quite uncomfortable. Not in a physical sense, but more so it was like my fight or flight instincts began kicking in seemingly at random. I'd whip my head around to see if anybody was following me or even peeking at me through the wooded park in which I ran, but couldn't see anybody. It didn't help that it was dark either, so even if there was somebody creeping in the dark, there was no way I could tell. As an extra precaution, I started carrying around some pepper spray in order to fend off any would-be attackers. But as time went on and that eerie sensation occurred more and more, I just couldn't bring myself to run anymore. A friend of mine, Daniel, a self-proclaimed runner himself, told me that I shouldn't worry about it. He said that the mind plays tricks on oneself when it can't see things clearly, especially in the dark. After being reassured by him, I decided to give jogging another go. So today, like any other day, I slapped on some black leggings, tied my hair up in a ponytail, put on my kicks, and set my music volume to full blast and headed out the door. I felt fantastic at first and was loving the cool breeze and crisp morning air. But then, about halfway into my jog, a tall and hooded figure stepped out onto the path in front of me. Quickly, I pulled out my pepper spray and yelled at the person to leave me alone. The person quickly pulled down their hood, revealing themselves to be Daniel. I sighed with relief as he approached and laughed at how funny it was that we ran the same path. I expressed to him that I felt safer knowing he was around. Daniel, however, stepped a little too close and gave a crooked smile. He said that of course I was safe with him, as apparently I had been safe with him for weeks. The realization of what he meant quickly dawned on me, as his hands began to creep their way around my waist. I screamed at him to let me go and prepared to spray him, but he slapped it out of my hand and proceeded to grab my throat. With strained screams, I begged him to let me go and for someone to help me. He yelled at me and tightened his grip, asking why I wasn't thankful for his watchful eyes for the past several weeks. I was stunned at the complete personality change from the once gentle friend I knew. Pretty soon, I started to black out and grow weak. But just before passing out, I could hear the sounds of dogs barking and an older man screaming for Daniel to let me go. In a panic, he released me and ran back into the woods. I gasped for air before I began sobbing as the man escorted me out of the park and brought me straight to the police station. And despite my fears and reservations, I told them everything I knew about Daniel, or what I thought I knew, and what he had done to me. They immediately sent a patrol car out and told me that everything would be okay. The next day, I heard Daniel never showed up to class. He had been arrested several hours later after I left the police station and confessed to everything with a disgusting amount of self-righteousness. He was recorded as saying, "She needed me. Only I can protect her. Who knows what could have been hiding in those woods?" It took me a while to feel comfortable going back to school, and even then my trust in people was never the same again. I guess even the ones you were close to can snap, just like that, at any time.
Oh, at any time. So, haunted every time.
Thank you for sticking around.
Yes, if you knew what was going to happen, why did you stay? There's nothing you could do. There's nothing you could do about it. Okay, it's not trying to let me. So I gotta turn this way and turn it back again. Yeah, I need to turn it each time I do it. So we're going to watch this horror. So this horror story we're going to react to is True Tinder Date Horror Story. I never do Tinder because, you know, I don't do Tinder because I don't do Tinder because, you know, it's the worst thing to do. So let's watch the video.
My name is Autumn Kyles, and I'm the founder of Proxy. Not only am I a member of Lake Trust, I also support...
Thanks to Shudder for sponsoring this video. Get a free 30-day trial using code LLAMA at shudder.com. More details at the end of the video.
Disturbing horror story.
This happened when I was 17 years old. It's been nearly 2 years since my girlfriend broke up with me, and I was very chewed up about it on the inside. I've called her several times, but it always went to voicemail. I've tried texting her on Messenger since, ironically, we were friends on Facebook, but still, not a single response. As the weeks went by, I became very devastated and was worried that I'd never find love again. My brother told me to just forget about my ex-girlfriend and that it was time for me to move on. He introduced me to this app called Tinder, which he said was great for online dating. I was very familiar with online dating, but never actually done any of it, because there was no way that I even felt like hooking up with some random person I met online. But I figured it couldn't hurt to try it out, so I decided to give it a shot. After I finished setting up my account and was done creating my profile, I just started randomly liking a few of the girls that I thought were pretty. I'm not picky, I just wanted to make sure that I found the right girl for me. A few weeks later, I've had already received my first match on Tinder. Her name was Robin. She had blue hair, freckles, and beautiful amethyst purple lips. According to her profile, she had the same interest in the stuff I was into, and was even around the same age as me. Even better, she lived in the same town as me. By the way, I live in Memphis, Tennessee. We started having a friendly group chat on Tinder, which was going well. Her message said, "You may not know me, but we went to the same high school." I replied, "Are you sure?" She said, "Yeah, I was always the quiet one at the back of class."
Wow.
"Anyways, I think you're really cute. We should hang out sometime." I agreed and asked her to where she wanted to hang out, where to meet her, and what time I should be there. She said we'd hang out at her place and meet her at the park tomorrow night at around 9 p.m. I accepted.
Okay, that's gonna be weird.
I got to the park that night at around 9 p.m. sharp. I didn't call her because I didn't want to sound too desperate. Some time passed and I finally decided to call her to no response. I also tried texting her to no avail as well. It was around 9:30 p.m. There was still no sign of her and I was beginning to grow impatient. I was starting to think that maybe she wasn't going to show up at all. I sighed and said, I knew this was too good to be true. She's not even here yet. Screw it. I'm going home. I can't believe I came out here this late for nothing. Oh well, so much for online dating. I was about to start my walk home when suddenly I saw a black convertible pull up to my location. The car stopped right in front of me, and the window rolled down, revealing a creepy-looking old man who was probably in his mid-30s. He gazed at me with a weird smile and asked, "You going somewhere, kid?" I responded, Yeah, I'm just headed home. He asked me why I was out there this late, and told him that I was supposed to meet someone, but it seemed like she wasn't going to show up. He said, Oh, you must be waiting for my daughter. The man, by the name of Jeff, introduced himself to me as Robin's father, and said that Robin has told him a lot about me. He told me that Robin couldn't meet me at the park because she remembered that was the night she had to go to a slumber party with her friends, and she forgot to cancel. He told me she wouldn't be home till 11 o'clock, and that's when I knew my night was a bust. He apologized and offered to give me a ride home. I knew it was going to take too long for me to walk, so I accepted. It was going to be a long drive, but luckily I knew all the shortcuts to my house. I told him where I lived and how to get there as I got into the car. After a few minutes, I was feeling tired from being out so late, so I closed my eyes for just a few short seconds and dozed off. Not long afterward, I awoke. Feeling a little drowsy, I rubbed my eyes and realized that I was still in the car. I asked the man where we were, as this wasn't the usual route to my house. He said, Relax, kid, this is a shortcut. We're almost there. I asked where we were going, and then he looked at me with some sinister grin on his face and just chuckled. I felt my heart almost explode out of my chest as he did that. I looked down and saw a handgun sticking out of his jacket pocket. I put two and two together and realized what was happening. I told him, Let me out now! He responded.
That's a red flag, because when someone has a handgun in their pocket, you know that's a thing, because that is a thing, because it's a red flag. That's a very red flag only.
Let me out now! He responded. No. Then, he put his foot on the accelerator, speeding up the car. I tried to get out, but he had already put the child lock on. It seemed hopeless. I was trapped. There was no way out. To make matters worse, we were driving through a forest area with no cell service. I couldn't even call for help. But I just had to get out. As soon as the car started to slow down, I stabbed him in his shoulder with a pocket knife that I found on the floor. He screamed in pain as I was able to turn off the child lock, unlock the door, and run as fast as I could into the woods. While I was running, I could hear multiple gunshots being fired at me, but luckily, not a single one hit me. I never looked back because I had the fear of the man chasing me at the back of my mind.
He's chasing you?
I dove behind a tree and hid under a bush.
Okay.
I heard the man yelling, "You can't hide from me! I will find you!" I covered my mouth with my hands and held my breath, trying not to make a sound. Everything was silent for a while, until I saw the man was looking for me with a flashlight.
Wow.
He flashed it past me multiple times. When I heard his footsteps going deeper into the woods, that's when I knew the coast was clear. I ran, using the flashlight on my phone to help navigate me through the dark and scary woods. In hindsight, I knew that was a stupid move, considering the situation. I could hear the leaves crunching and the twigs snapping as I ran, which would also easily give away my position. When the crunching and snapping got louder, I looked behind me and my heart dropped when I saw that the man was chasing me. I ran as fast as I could with the man hot on my tail, firing every single last live round he had in his gun. But thankfully, the shots missed again. "There's nowhere for you to hide," he said. I thought I was going to die, until I heard the man trip over something, and I was able to get away unharmed. I kept running until I was out of the woods and back onto the road. Looking behind me then, he was nowhere to be seen, which means I lost him. I sighed in relief, and then I saw a red car driving down the road. I was able to wave it down and told the driver that I was kidnapped and almost killed by some crazy man in the woods. It took a lot of begging, but the driver finally gave me a ride to the police station, and I told the cops everything. Unfortunately, I didn't get the man's tag number, but I gave the police a clear description. After the police had run a search, they told me that he didn't even have a daughter, and that they've been trying to catch this guy for months.
He's lying to you.
As it turns out, he's wanted in several countries for the kidnappings of multiple teenagers and young men. How I managed to escape him is a miracle. The officers kindly gave me a ride home, and I didn't tell anyone what happened except my brother.
Okay, good.
The man was never found,
What?
nor was he ever caught.
He never
And they say
caught.
he's still out there, even to this day, which scares me the most. What's even worse is that I stupidly gave him my address, so who knows if he might try to kidnap me again.
Yeah.
Needless to say, my days of using Tinder weren't over after that.
What?
The whole incident just made me a lot more cautious from there on out.
Jeez. Here and out.
Thanks to Shudder for sponsoring this video. Shudder.
Yes. If you don't do anything with it, that's when you have a bad idea for them to know about who you was. So this video we're gonna watch is Close Call Anime Horror Story. I don't know. Let's watch this video anyways. I don't know.
When you live with moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis, your day can be
A close call.
I had just reluctantly returned home from an extended vacation trip to Japan. After experiencing delicious food beyond compare, a beautiful country, and spending time with amazing people. Needless to say, I was a bit depressed about coming home. On my first day back home, I went straight to my bedroom and passed out before doing anything else. Rather, I didn't have the energy to do anything else. It was probably for that reason that I failed to notice subtle hints that my home was not as lonely without me as I believed. Hours later, I awoke in the middle of the night to the sound of scuttling noises and the floorboards creaking. Understandably confused, I got out of bed and made my way into the hallway that was connected to both the living room and kitchen.
Okay.
Cautiously, I crept my way through the darkness, groping the wall next to me for balance in my tired state as I trudged forward. I, however, made the fatal mistake of stepping onto one of the loudest boards in the hallway, alerting whoever or whatever was lurking in the shadows of the next room. I paused, as did the entity in the next room, before a whoosh of air was heard as they retreated into whatever crevice they had come out of. Taking a nervous gulp of air, I walked into the living room and turned on the nearby lamp that dimly lit up the room. Looking around, I spotted not a soul, but rather some of my furniture was disturbed. What's more, a couple of my kitchen cabinets were slightly ajar.
What?
Bewildered, but with my guard up, I went over and closed them all before readjusting my furniture, by which point I had relaxed.
Right.
I chalked up the odd noises and movements to my jet-lagged brain and shrugged, deciding to just head back to bed. I wish the story ended there, but I was not so lucky. Before entering the hallway to my room, I saw that the large metal covering to the air vent above the couch was missing. Peering up at it, I mumbled, "What the?" before a crooked face filled with abject disdain for my existence popped into view. Startled, I fell to the ground and began crawling away, as I heard the man begin screeching incoherently as he dropped down onto the couch. I watched in horror as his joints cracked beneath his raggedy hoodie and heavily stained jeans. He stared at me, silent now, before brandishing a knife out of his back pocket and pointed it towards me. "My house now! Mine! Mine! You left it! It's mine!" He shouted with a slurred voice as he charged towards me. I hurriedly crawled towards my room and slammed the door behind me and locked it as he started jabbing his blade into the door, yelling at me to die. Shakily, I called the police and sobbed as I told them what was happening. Thankfully, I was told a patrol car was nearby my neighborhood, and they would be at my house in minutes. I stayed on the phone and picked up a baseball bat just in case that deranged cretin broke down my door. A few horrendous minutes later, the police arrived, and after a quick but violent struggle, they managed to subdue the intruder. After locking him in the back seat of the patrol car, the cops investigated my house and found that the man apparently had been living there while I was gone.
What?
But not just that. Apparently, he'd been staying at my house without me noticing for a few months.
What?
According to the police, they found paper stuffed under the couch that was filled with nothing but incoherent ramblings about how he planned to kill me one day when the time was right. With the dates next to each entry predating my trip to Japan by an uncomfortable amount of time. Frankly, I'm happy to be alive and relieved that the situation was resolved so quickly. But still, I make sure to triple check the locks in my home after that little incident.
Yes, you had to check your locks because someone will go in the house. People come to the house each time you're doing it.
Thank you for sticking around to the end of the video.
You can't come back to the house anymore. If you come back to the house, you're not coming back. Because you ain't coming back. You ain't coming back to the house anymore. Because you're going to come back to the house and you're not going to come back. So we're going to watch like one more last video. This last video we're going to watch is Disturbing Vacation Horror Story 3. I did say 1 and 2, so we're going to watch 3 because Minnesota didn't get it. Minnesota, if you're watching, I'm just saying it, but let's watch the video.
Are you for the exemptions for rape and incest?
Please, people don't turn this in because
No exceptions for rape and incest, or what about health of the mother?
No exceptions. Abortion, just don't do it, please.
It was a summer ago. My family and I had gone to a cabin that most would use for a winter vacation, but my family wasn't like that. The cabin was located in the middle of the forest. There was no cell phone service, so, as you can imagine, I was pissed. My mom always complained to me about being isolated and confined to the comforts of my phone. I always found solace in my phone, since being around people made me feel irrational and just plain weird. My parents never understood that. Anyway, my little sister is 6 years old and was playing around in the forest. She had gone a bit too far out of my sight, and I started to get a little worried. I called out her name, but got no response. I then went in the direction that she did and found nothing but a bloody bow. My eyes widened as I frantically ran around looking for her. I found a blood trail that led into the deeper parts of the forest. I hesitated, but nothing was going to stop me from saving my sister. I followed the trail for as far as it went. After about an hour, the blood stopped at a hole. I debated whether I should go back and tell my parents, but I didn't think they'd believe me, even if I did say that my sister was missing. There's no denying my parents thought I was insane. Despite my fear, I jumped into the hole. I fell for what felt like forever. Then, I finally hit water. My face morphed into disgust as I stumbled through what I thought was a sewer, since there was no light. I looked up out of the hole and saw a tiny white dot. I started to walk around. There was crunching under my feet. I paid no attention to it since I thought it was some dead leaves or sticks that had fallen into the sewer. That was until I fell. Some unknown liquid had splashed all over me. I remembered that my phone was in my back pocket, and I pulled it out and shined it on myself. Time seemed to slow down as I realized what I was walking in. It was a river of fresh blood. The blood had absolutely soaked me. I held in a scream as to not alert any nearby creatures. I then ran through the connection of tunnels and refused to stop. The until I started hearing footsteps behind me. I stopped,
someone's
turned
following
around,
you.
and shined my flashlight around. The light from my phone landed on a distant figure. It looked so small, so maybe it was a dog or an alligator that had sneaked in. I stupidly started to move towards it, and as I got closer, the figure started to get clearer. I started to see that it wasn't a dog or an alligator. As soon as I realized this, I stopped in my tracks and stared.
What are you doing?
It looked like me. Its body was contorted. Their back faced towards the ground, and its head was turned right side up, faced towards me. Its legs were normal, but its arms were legs as well. It had jagged teeth, and it was chewing on what was left of my sister's head. Then, I saw my parents' head beside it. I stepped back in shock and fear. The mutant of myself charged towards me. In a state of panic, I tried to run away. But I slipped, hit my head on the rock, and passed out.
So, wait, so is he dead too? So, is he dead too? Oh, the family died! Wow. What? Oh, that kid died too! Wait a minute. No way. So all the family died in the end? Oh wow, that is so insane. I did not know that video was, I did not know it was gonna go that deep. It was going that deep this whole time. Jeez, I did not know it was gonna go that. I didn't know it was gonna go that way. I didn't know it was gonna go that. I didn't know it was gonna go that way. I didn't know it was gonna go that way. I did not know it was gonna go that way. I did not know it was gonna go that way. I did not know it was gonna go that way. So that's the end of the video. Subscribe to Lime Arts, like I just did already. And I'm going to join the Keyblade Squad. Love you. Bye bye.